and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Evie again. Welcome back to Because Evie Said So. I'm your host Evie. On this channel we cover Law and Order Organized Crime and Law and Order Organized Crime. Well, this week we had 2 episodes, you guys. 2 episodes. New World Order and the Outlaw Eddie Wagner. Okay, this is going to be great. So how did it start? It opens with an update and a recap about Elliott while he's undercover. Elliott is outside late at night in an abandoned area, and it looks like he might be being followed or something. So he pops his gun out, right? He pulls his gun out, and he looks like someone's in his trailer. So he suspects something. So he goes in the trailer, and it's his big boss, Albie, right? And he's in his place. He wants to talk to Elliott. He wants to take Elliott for a drive, and he tells Elliott to leave his phone there. Okay, well, they, get in the car and they start driving off. Well, the Marcy killers break in on some guys with the Costa crew, and they want to see everything and all the crates in this warehouse. So I guess that's where he took him. He took him to this warehouse, right? So the Marcy killers are in there. He makes the guy, well, Eddie doesn't make him, but his friend, well, Eddie makes him, his friend makes him do it, Reggie. And he makes the guy open the crate. New World Order, right? They end up shooting the other guy because the guy doesn't want to open the crate because, I guess he ain't scared, but he should have been, because Reggie bit the other guy's ear off. I know y'all saw that. It was like, yuck. Oh my gosh, right? So violent. So he ends up shooting this other guy because the guy's not scared. And he's like, okay, we'll do it ourselves. Now, his boss, Albie, Reggie is the big boss's nephew, Albie's nephew. Now, he tells Eddie that he's an outsider, period. And Eddie tells him that he took an oath and has never broke it. Eddie being Elliott, you guys. I mean, I'm getting so confused, but I hope you guys aren't. I hope you're trying to follow me. So Eddie is his undercover name, Elliott. Okay, and Albie, the boss guy, tells him he's an outsider and he basically don't trust him. And he says, I took an oath. I've never broken my oath. You need to be okay with that. Well, they find guns in the crate, y'all. The boss, Albie, and Elliott walk into the Marcy killers, and Nova is on the crew, and she ain't having it with Elliott, okay? She ain't having it at all. Like, she will shoot Elliott in the face is what basically she is acting like she gonna do. They in there cutting off fingers, pulling out teeth. They want Elliott to burn the place down, to show his allegiance to them, to show that he's rolling with them. And at first he looks like, I'm not gonna do it. But what is he really doing, So we see him pouring the gas. Like he finna set everything on fire. So he sets the place on fire. He does a very thorough job of that. And I'm thinking, well, what are you gonna do? These bodies are here. How are you gonna save some of this, some body parts in order to get these people identified, to make sure that their families know? Well, I don't know. So anyway, it explodes, and cue the music. And, you hear the introduction. The guys walk away. Elliott just walks out. Him and Reggie walk out. The place blows up. No problem. So Sergeant Brewster and Sloopmeyer, they talk to Elliott, and he gives them the fingers of the victims, right? Because obviously he scooped them before, he set this place on fire, which I'm thinking very good, very thorough. And Sergeant Bell and Brewster talk about the alliance between the Marcy killers and Costa. Nova, like I told you, is the name of the black girl that's in the crew, and she's the one that went up against Elliott. John Costa is the long game. They want to get to John Costa because he's the guy that's over the guy that's over the guy. You know what I'm saying? So Nova, and we cut to her and her girlfriend Penda, and Nova has bought the salon for her girlfriend. And I'm like, wow, she bought her a salon. And Penda says she always wanted her own business, so she bought her one. So Elliott is at lunch. We cut to Elliott with his guy Reggie. He's asking for this girl's number at the diner. This girl looked too young for him to be messing with her, but he trying anyway. They order lunch. She's Russian and so cute. Reggie sends messages to his mother Nina because she kind of is there but not there. And so I guess he just tries to keep up with his mother, which I think is so sweet. He seems to love his mom, and he asks Elliott, who is playing Eddie right now, and he says, well, what about your mom? So Elliott lies about his mom and says she's dead, and that's what he does undercover, right? Now, they don't get lunch. They don't tip, and they basically just leave because they've been called away. And Reggie says, look, we don't tip. Let's go. Let's roll. We get free meals here all the time. Well, they meet Reggie's uncle at the fire scene. They ask Eddie what happened because it's another fire scene. They ask Eddie what happened at this particular place because Elliott, is supposed to know what goes on in fires because he sets fires. So what happened? Now, Elliott in his mind is trying to, stall for time because obviously Albie is probably going to shoot this guy because he either doesn't have his money or something has happened. So he's trying to stall for time so he can explain what happened with the fire, and so it doesn't look like this business owner actually set his place on fire so he doesn't get shot and killed. But he gets shot and killed anyway because I guess he taking too long, and Albie don't have no patience with this guy that's trying to explain to him what happened in the warehouse, so he shoots him. Elliott was trying to keep him alive, but the bodies just keep seeming to stack up. So Eddie goes to church, Elliott, and he confesses in the confession booth. Now, why I think he was really talking to a priest, okay? I really thought he was confessing his sins to God, but it's not God. It's Sergeant Bell. They done hooked up in the church, and he's explaining to her that he's bothered because he hesitated. He confesses his sins basically to Sergeant Ayanna Bell. Now, he's visibly shaken up by that because, he feels like if I'd have thought quicker, then this guy would be saved. And Belle tells him that she felt the same way when Gina died. He told her that sometimes they have to lose a few in order to save a lot. Obviously, both of them are shaken up. She wants to take him out of the field, but he says, he's in, he can do that. Just a second, y'all. He says that he can do that. The fire, he says, can't be ruled an arson because then the family won't get the insurance. This guy would have basically died for nothing. So his family has to get the insurance. So obviously we can see that Elliott still cares. He still cares. He's still a good guy. I'm glad to see that because I was questioning his choices at this point. It's a bagel shop. The wife talks to them. She tells them that the Albanians are shaking them down even harder than the Italians were doing. And now she has to bury her husband and her shop is destroyed. Well, Slootmeyer finds out who burned the shop down. I don't really know what they said, but she finds out. How do we get into Elliott's mom? Because she comes into the scene. Well, we see Elliott's mom, and it's like, wow, it's so good to see her. It's so good to see Ellen Burstyn play his mom again, right? She's gotten old, but she still looks amazing. Now she's talking to some boy about feeding the ducks in the park, and she's telling him, the ducks don't really like bread. Give them some of these grapes. So she gives him some grapes to give to the ducks. And the little boy just starts throwing the bread again. She's like, look, I don't even like you doing that. And she smacks the little boy like he's Elliott. She thinks that that's her son, and she assaults him. So I'm like, wow, she must have dementia of some sort. So she's arrested. Yep, they arrest her in the park because she smacked somebody else's boy. I mean, if she smacked my kid too, I'd have been like, yep, you need to arrest this lady because she done lost her dang on mind. So Sergeant Bell takes her out of the jail cell because she's panicking. She's in a jail cell. She's locked up, and she's like, look, my son is a cop. You need to call my son, Elliott Stabler. And so she's really going off, and Ayanna feels so bad for her, Sergeant Bell, and she takes her somewhere safe until she can get to talk to Elliott. Well, of course she calls Elliott. And when Elliott gets there, his mom doesn't even recognize him as her son. And then she starts crying because then she does recognize him. So this whole thing is really sad. She says, where have you been hiding? And he explains that they went to Rome to live, remember? And he said, well, we've been back a couple of times on Christmases. Do you remember? And she doesn't. She forgot that Kathy died. And then she remembered Kathy died. Now, she says she's been off her medication. She's not taking it all the time. And then she asked a question. She says, so how was Liv's funeral? Did y'all catch that? She said Liv's funeral as opposed to Kathy's funeral. Right? Does everybody know that Elliott loves Liv or what? You know, I mean, even his mom has got this and she's got dementia. Poor Elliott. I mean, Kathy and now his mom. Wow. He brings the kids over to his mom's house. She got all kind of cats in the house. You know, you can tell she's not been really taking care of herself. She had a caretaker, Rosa, and then she fired her. Elliott is so upset because she's not able to take care of herself. And what he wants her to do is go back to the facility. Well, she's 82 years old. She has dementia. She don't want to stay there. She agrees to go with them and stay for a while because the kids kind of prod her and say, look, you know, Grandma, come stay with us. It's no big deal. Cut to the scene about Ayanna Bell and her nephew. Remember he was assaulted by the police? Well, they offered him $150,000. That's not a lot for them crushing his hand. He can't even play the guitar anymore. They crushed his hand. He didn't do nothing wrong. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They suspected him of doing something and he was totally innocent. And they want to offer him some change like that? No, I wouldn't have it either. So Ayanna Bell's wife, Sergeant Ayanna Bell's wife was like, we're not having it. They not finna lowball us. We want our money, period. So somehow they know who Elliott is in the diner. Some guy says he recognizes Elliott, and then I was like, wow, he finna blow his cover for real. So then all of a sudden somebody rolls by Penda and Nova's car and starts shooting up the car. Not only do they shoot up the car, but they shoot into the diner. So in the nick of time, that's cut off. But in the meantime, Penda is killed. She's shot up so bad, and Nova's crying and she's trying to get people to help her, but nobody of course will help her, and Penda is dead. You know, so you know, this is real tragic for her because she really loved her. So they're trying to turn Nova now. At least Elliott and Sergeant Bell are. They're trying to turn her, and Slootmeyer knows about a little something, but she doesn't want to really say anything. So they tell Nova she needs her help. And she gives her card in her car in case she changes her mind. Because Sergeant Bell rode up on Nova. They trapped her, basically, Slootmeyer and her, and said, get in the car. Once she gets in the car, they're like, look, you know who we are. We need your help. Don't you want to find out what happened to Penda and get the guys that shot her and killed her? And she crumples up her card as she gets out, and she's like, you're not finna roll me. You're not finna trick me. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. And she walks off. Well, we find out in the future of this episode that Nova actually works for Brewster. Yeah, Sergeant Brewster, Sergeant Bell's old mentor. And Bell is pissed because she can't trust him. She like, you know, y'all talk to each other. You didn't let me know your undercover was Nova. I let you know everything about my plan, but you keeping secrets up in here? I don't appreciate it. So Slootmeyer tells them about the Albanians and that they're rolling. So Elliott has to go, you know, because now the Albanians are rolling. They got guns and stuff. Obviously, they finna go take out these Italians because Costa know they running stuff in his territory. They probably got some of his product. The Italians show up at a gas station. Costa and his boys show up at a gas station. It's a standoff. They got their guns. They got their guns. And it looked like they like, okay, well, let's shoot each other then. Let's all die today. And so what happens? Elliott rolls through with a rocket launcher, y'all. The same rocket launcher they gave him last week. Yes, this dude is out there in the parking lot at a gas station with a rocket launcher. He like, look, we can all die today. It don't make me no never mind. So do what you do. So they call it off, of course. The Italians get back in their car and they roll out. And Elliott basically looks like he's the one that saves the day. But would he have really done that? Would he have really shot that rocket launcher off with innocent people out there as well as the Italians? I don't know. Elliott's tripping right now. I really got to see what his allegiance is. Is he falling into deep in this undercover stuff? Or does he really remember who he is? So Elliott's at the party, because they throwing a party now because they think they won, the Albanians, and he's kissing some girl. That's nasty. First of all, you don't know where her mouth being. You're nasty. But I understand he's undercover and he got to do what he got to do. So he drinking. You excuse me. You sorry about that, y'all. He drinking. He know he can hold his liquor, right? So in the meantime, while he's kissing this girl, she slips him a Mickey in her mouth. She has something in her mouth and she slips it into his mouth. So now he ain't had a Mickey fin, and now he is drugged and high as I don't know what. Like really high. And Costa ends up telling him he's in the group now. He gives him a cell phone to use from now on. He tells him to stay clean, basically, because now he high. He don't know how he got high. He's like, we don't really get high up in here, so I need you to stay clean and stay focused. So what does Elliott do? I'm thinking he gonna go back to the trailer, right, that he's staying in. No, he goes to a hotel. It looked like a hotel. I thought it was his hotel where he was staying, but it wasn't. It was Liv's building. Why you at Liv's house in the middle of the night and you high, right? So he goes to her door. He is so high right now, and I'm worried about him going in because I'm like, he's in the wrong place. Oh my God. So he goes to Liv's apartment. I hope she opens the door, and mouth drop, she opens the door, right? She opens the door to find him standing on, propping himself up in the hallway, high as you know what. I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it. She's so concerned, she wants to take him to the hospital because if you're undercover, you have to go to the hospital if you've been drugged. It's just protocol. But he's like, I don't want to go to the hospital. I want to talk about what happened between me and you. Okay, I'm all ears at this point. I'm like, me and you. Okay. Let me listen. So he says, we didn't really get to talk. Let's talk. And she's like, no, let's not do this right now. And he's like, no, let's talk. So then he's like, I didn't really write the letter. Okay, wait a minute. Bombshell, bomb just dropped. Well, who wrote the doggone letter? He said he didn't write the letter. Kathy wrote the letter. Wow. So what was in this letter, okay? Because they never did say. What he said was, it was Kathy's idea to write a letter to Liv because her and Elliott hadn't talked in so long. It would basically break the ice when they saw each other again. So Kathy wrote in there she wanted Liv to be happy and that the man that she should be with should be a man that really loved her and was kind to her, blah, blah, blah. But the kicker part was at the end, Elliott wrote something like, in a parallel universe, it's always gonna be just me and you, Liv. Okay? Did you hear what I said? Like, he snuck some love stuff in that letter at the last moment, and then he sealed it. Well, Liv was stunned, of course. It was romantic. He wrote that it'll always be me and you in a parallel universe. So he does love her. I'm stunned, but not, because I knew he does. I mean, you could tell. So, but does she love him though? Does she love him? Well, Elliott needs to sleep it off. We find him waking up at Sergeant Bell's house, and wow. So Liv must have made him leave, because I was like, where's her son Noah? He in there high. Noah can't see him high. So I'm glad that she called Sergeant Bell to get him to leave, because he really did need to sleep it off. Well, Elliott seems so smart. This never happened to him before, obviously. And per his boss, Albie, he says, I need you. So he calls him. He goes to answer Albie. Albie says, I need you to do something for me personally. And he looks in the back of the car. There's a body in there, a dead body, obviously. So he goes with Albie and he takes him to this place, right? And he says, nobody's going to know. And they bury the body there. Well, he buries the body there basically so the police can find it and identify this guy and basically get to the bottom of the crime. So they left, they find the body that Elliott leaves them, Sergeant Bell and Sergeant Brewster. They start doing an investigation. Well, let's get to Slootmeyer, okay? Slotmeyer, am I saying that right? I don't know. Why is her name so hard? But anyway, Slootmeyer takes the phone and she tells him that John Costa has programmed that phone. Basically, that he can't call, he can't go to the internet. All he can do is text, and it's untraceable. So this guy is good. But the phone has a particular signature in it, and she recognizes the signature as this guy called Malachi, who nobody knows what he looks like, but he's a coder / hacker. So Slootmeyer wants to go to this hacker party. She thinks Mariska is going to be there. So she goes to the competition. She kills it as she normally would do, doing her backdoor things and getting in places she really shouldn't have her nose in. But that's what they do at this Coda hacker party. And the competitors don't know what hit them. So Sergeant Bell goes to talk to Congressman Kilbright because she already met with him earlier with her wife. And she basically wants to know, does he have some ulterior motives that she should be looking at? And he tells her, you will make a great politician. Well, Slootmeyer figures out who this guy is at the competition, and she recognizes him. Mariska starts to run. They take him down. They, as in Brewster's other guy, plus her, take him down. She figures out and she gets the information from Mariska because Mariska don't want to talk to nobody else but her. And she figures out that he had built an app, and she gets the encryption key that they need. And they're wondering, how did you get it? And she's just like, you're welcome, and walks off. So Congressman Kilbright is meeting with Sergeant Ayanna Bell and her wife, like I told you earlier, to talk about the case. That was previous to her actually going to his house. I told you he's trying to get them to work with him because this particular case he thinks is going to be really hard. It's not as relevant. I wouldn't say relevant, but it's not as strong of a case as people that would march out in the street for something, not like the, any of the cases that anybody else has marched for in the past. So he's trying to help her to better life for African Americans, because this happens to us all the time. Unfortunately, this is the world that we live in right now. Unfortunately, we get the brunt of this and white people seem to walk away. I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but the cops do bad things. They do good things too. So I'm not totally against the cops, but the bad cops that are out there, they need to be prosecuted to the fullest for what they do. So Eddie needs to get in to see Costa. He goes to the gym. He talks to Reggie. Reggie's like, well, you think you something now that you got a phone. And he's like, no, you still my boy. And he was like, remember that. So in the meantime, Miss Brewster, Flatura, she starts flirting with Elliott, and she's married to Albie, and she's getting too close. That might be a problem. So Eddie likes the girl in the diner. Remember I was telling you about her? She looks so young, and Eddie starts to warn Reggie starts to warn Elliott / Eddie that if he gets involved with Miss Flatura, there's going to be a problem. Well, the police shake Elliott and Reggie down as they come out of the diner because they think they're criminals. And I think that was set up by Sergeant Ayanna Bell because he don't even look like the person that attacked the lady that wanted the police in the first place. So he has slipped a message in his pocket from the police. The police try to give him a card so he can file a complaint. He slips it in his pocket. He looks at it as him and Reggie are walking off. And basically it's a message and information about the guy that he just put in the ground. So they pretty much want him to go to the apartment, the last known address of this guy, and see what he can find. Well, Nova missed her meetup with Sergeant Brewster. That's a big thing. I told y'all she works for him, right? She wants to go to Penda's funeral, which is in South Carolina, North Carolina, somewhere. But, Brewster's not feeling that. He like, no, you can't go. And she's like, what you mean I can't go? And he's like, I'm telling you, you can't go. So she quits. She puts her badge down, her gun down. She walks out on him because Hugo is getting out, and Brewster needs her to pick Hugo up and to find out what Hugo's going to do, right? So Sergeant Bell tries to talk to her, but Nova's not hearing that. Nova's hurting real bad, and she don't know Ayanna. Ayanna admits to her that she's married to a woman too. So we cut to Flatura and Albie. Now Elliott / Eddie talks to Flatura after she's leaving the salon. So he didn't, went to find out what this lady is. Didn't he just tell you not to be messing with this man's wife? You're going to get knocked out. You could get killed. Well, I guess he's really selling it. I mean, he's an undercover cop, and I guess he's just really selling what he's doing. And he drops Tristan's name to her, and she's like, Tristan who? I don't really know what you're talking about. Lies. You know what he's talking about. She wants to hook up with him, and he tells her sooner or later they'll get together. Wow. Okay, like, really? Well, after that, he goes to follow Albie and to see where he goes. And he goes to an underground club. He follows him, and Albie is on the down low, it seems, because it's a gay club. It's just men in there. And Elliott quickly sees that Albie saw him, so he tries to leave. But Albie, gets him in the alley, and he does some quick thinking, and he's like, I was just checking on you. Well, Albie ain't buying that. Albie wants to keep all his information on the down low. He don't want his family to know what he's doing. He like, I'm a man. Why don't you just admit you're bisexual? If you're bisexual, you're bisexual. I have opinions on that, but I'm not going to share that right now. But anyway, so Albie's not feeling that. So Albie tells him, get in the trunk. He pulls a gun on him. Get in the trunk. So Elliott gets in the trunk, which I think is a very bad idea. So he kidnaps him. He takes him to the burial place that they were at earlier, where they buried the other body. And he tells Elliott to get out and start basically digging his own grave. No. So with some fast talking, with his good talking ass, he gets to talking. He tells Albie, look, you told me earlier I was an outsider. I'm not in this to win this. I don't know nothing. If you tell me something, you tell me something. If you tell me not to see something, I didn't see it. Basically, I'm Bennett and I'm not in it, right? So Albie believes him. And he's like, I'm going to take your secret to my grave. And he's like, all right. So he agrees not to shoot him. So Sergeant Bell meets Nova at the church where Penda would go to church. And Nova tells her, my name is Carmen. And, Sergeant Bell says, look, we need you. We really need you to come back to the task force. So next we see Hugo getting out of jail. And who do we see that's picking Hugo up? Nova. She meets him. She's back in the game. They hug and get to work. Sergeant Bell admits that she has bigger ambitions to Elliott while he's in the car, because she talked to Congressman Kilbright earlier, and I guess he must have got in her head. Well, Elliott/Eddie meets Costa at the gym, and he finally lets him in. Like, he gets to talking to him about the party last night. I guess he figures, I trust him, so let him in. So now, finally, he in like Flynn, y'all. So what's next? Wow. It's that time, y'all. Leave some comments below. I know you know that the girl wants to know. Let me ask you some questions. You got the answers. I know you do. Do you think Costa really trusts Elliott? Do you think Albie really trusts Elliott? What do you think about the scene with him and Liv? I know y'all got something to say for sure. What do you think Liv is thinking right now? Do you think she really trusts Elliott after all that stuff that went on before? If you like the content like this and you like to see more of it, please take the time to subscribe. Give me a like. I would really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. Hit that notification bell so you know when your girl's coming back again. I cover Law and Order SVU and Law, Order, Organized Crime. And we heard that Law and Order, the original Law and Order, is going to return for season 21 after 10 years, you guys. And that's great news. I might cover that. I might not. I don't know yet. I love you guys, and I need you to Law and Order on. I'll see you in my next video.